Namaskar, Jai Hind, Jai Bharat, and welcome to Dev Talks. I have with me someone really special, and all of you have seen her on TV, Padmaja. Firstly, thank you so much for taking out the time. And you know what really kind of impressed me about her coverage in West Bengal? Everybody went there. One of the few people who actually went to Naxalbari. And that's what caught my eye. So I'm going to talk to her about what's happening in Bengal. But of course, my first question is going to be Naxalbari, of course. But Padmaja, thank you so much for the time, and welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Adi. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
You went to Naxalbari. That's quite a this thing, and it was interesting for you to point out the red flags along with the saffron ones around the place,
Mm.
and that was very interesting to me considering the whole Maoist issue is pretty much on its fag end right now.
Mm.
Injuries and the uh, random attacks here and there will keep happening, but it was very interesting that you went there. Before we get into the politics of it, what was that like?
So the reason I went there was exactly that. That at a time, it's just been what 1 month when we had that special session and Amit Shah speaking, saying it's basically Naxal Mukh Bharat, and yet you have in an election-bound state a place that is literally known as the house of the Naxals, Naxalbari. What do people think there? Another interesting fact about that area is that all the assembly segments in that area, including Naxalbari, have been voting for the BJP. So the sitting MLA there is of the BJP, and you will keep seeing these the red flags and the saffron flag side by side. But of course, now the saffron is predominant because obviously the MLA here has been elected from the BJP. You saw more activity from the BJP, and the CPI-ML office there was locked. And when I went to the CPI-ML office, again the same thing, the slogans outside talking about how you have and again, this is no comment on what we think of America or whatever, but imperialist America, stand up to imperialism, revolution is nigh, the same kind of that same nostalgia. Whereas you've got an entire West Bengal election happening, आपका office बंद है, but आप वहाँ Venezuela और Peru और American imperialism के slogans वहाँ पर लिखे हुए हैं. So it was just a very interesting, look into how two parallel worlds exist. So I spoke to that lady who worked with Charu Majumdar, and she said कि देखो अभी भी एक दिन फिर से revolution आएगा because अभी भी इतनी inequality है, अभी भी यहाँ पर. And of course, she spoke of the time when the uprising, the Naxal uprising happened, and how the zamindars at that time used to drive you almost like slaves. The labor, the local labor, were almost treated like slaves. She said that somebody used to hide a few stalks of wheat in their clothes and bring it back. So the zamindar used to tell his men to drag that person out, and he was beaten with a belt. So that is the reason. So she said कि मेरे को संगठित करना था. So she was rallying all the women workers together.
Hmm.
And she was of the opinion कि अभी फिर से वो inequality, the economic disparity again is so bad that eventually the people, there will be a peasant revolt all over again. So that was one world. And then there was another world where you had, even a rickshaw puller. So you have the Toto there, the what we call
Yeah.
tuk tuk, the e-rickshaw. It's called the Toto there. So the Toto drivers, young 21, 22 years old, taking Yuva Sathi, one installment has come before the elections, taking Yuva Sathi and saying, नहीं हमें तो हाँ ठीक है 1500 युवा साथी मिलता है और हम भी महीने का 2000 कमा लेते हैं बट 3500 में वो नहीं मिलता ना, घर नहीं चलता है तो हमें नौकरी चाहिए हमें चाकरी चाहिए हमें. So you're talking about a revolution on the one hand, whereas the person who's supposed to drive that revolution, all he wants at this point is a job and a regular desk job or a regular job where he takes home a check every month. So that was the interesting thing. And right in the middle of that whole place is, the shrine to the revolution, the memorial of the revolution. So, yeah, that is what was interesting. Ki bhai, in Naxalbari, what do people think of Naxalism? Clearly, I think most of them have moved beyond.
And the funny thing is, it was in such a rehabilitated sort of a state. I was like, यार ये देखो, I mean, तुम्हारा घर था इसको तो कम से कम साफ सफाई तो करो यार उसका. Clean the damn place. There are leaves falling around and the flags are all, you know. I was like, हाँ ठीक
But
है,
it's a
let's
small
uh,
fraction. You're being unfair. Like if you've got such a small fraction of people, they're doing the best that they can. Like I said, unka office bhi band tha. Wahan the whole campaign is like it's like in the last legs, and you shut your this thing, and you've gone home for a siesta. Funny thing is, this lady who was supposed to be in charge of that office and who cleans it every day, and she was also like, हाँ, लाल सलाम ये वो. So I asked her कि आपके बच्चे क्या करते हैं? आपको लगता है your children are going to someday pick up the flag as it were again? So she said, नहीं, मेरी एक बेटी है, and she studied up till class 12th, and I think she did her degree, some degree she did, but she didn't get a job. So now she runs a beauty parlor, and she's become a beauty influencer. तो उसका YouTube
ah,
channel है. So I was like,
oh,
अभी तो you're doing Lal Salam, and then you're also saying that your daughter is now a beauty influencer, which is as capitalist as it gets. So again, there is that dichotomy. तो ठीक है ना,
mm.
वो how much will she maintain that memorial when she has to do other
She's
things
painting.
also?
She's painting the town red, so that's fine. That's perfectly all
Yeah,
right.
she is.
You know, this time it's interesting, and as we were talking offline as well, that people from West Bengal initially didn't speak; they were quiet. I'm talking about the antagonist, protagonist, both the sides. They were just quiet. They were not, and of course, the pro TMC humdrum was a little higher than the pro BJP one. Right now, what we see is the pro BJP one is extremely high, and the TMC one is quite mellowed. It's down.
Mm,
I don't know if that's natural or not. That is something that we'll probably come to know tomorrow.
mm.
And this video is going to come out right after we kind of stop our conversation. So, uh, what I want to ask you is that there is a certain sense of change which Bengal is asking for. Now, how do you interpret that change is a very different thing. What did you see on the ground?
I think there is an anger,
Mhm.
and in some quarters. So what I found really strange is that my experience was somehow very different from what I see a lot of other people who are also on the ground experiencing. Like I saw a lot of videos. I'm continuously just looking at videos of other people talking to common people, not BJP, TMC, left, anything. And they did find full credit to them. People who said ki I don't want to talk, I हम ठीक है अभी बात नहीं करेंगे. I on the other hand had a completely opposite experience, barring some pockets. So yes, in RG Core in Kolkata, some people were hesitant to come on camera, and they didn't speak at all. They said नहीं नहीं आपको पता है क्या situation है. But largely in the rural parts, even when I didn't ask people questions, and this is what made me almost think that are they trying to play me? Like, why are they so upfront? Like, it was like I'm sitting here and speaking to you. Somebody was passing by, then they stopped and like sort of eavesdropped for a bit, and then jumped into the conversation and saying मैं आपको बताता हूँ कि यहाँ पे देखिए सड़क नहीं बनी है, यहाँ पर ये जो एक ही अस्पताल है, 5 साल हो गए, अस्पताल क्यों नहीं बना दूसरा, यहाँ पर हमारा डिग्री कॉलेज क्यों नहीं है. And I was like, I didn't even ask you a question, but that person clearly has so much bubbling within him that he just wants some kind of outlet. Like and imagine if he today is so, I mean, he's just so almost desperate to have an outlet for what he's feeling. I'm guessing that when it comes to polling day, that will be his ultimate statement, right? For whatever it is that he's feeling. So I did
Mhm.
have that experience where people spoke a lot, which almost made me feel that they are not just now angry, it's almost like they are desperate. There was a sense of, for want of a better phrase, it was almost like a abhi nahi to kabhi nahi sort of sentiment that I took away. It was just people were just like, हाँ ये है, ये मिल रहा है, but ये क्यों नहीं है? ये मिल रहा है, but ये क्यों नहीं है? Like that. So I don't
एक
know
चीज
what
और.
to make of it. One half of the people, so one half, I don't know the exact proportion, but
Yeah,
some
yeah.
people saying we can't speak. I am not sure I want to speak. Some people very openly spoke. Like one person, again, in Bhawanipur, when I was roaming around, Bhawanipur has a lot of people who are Hindi speaking, right? Who have settled from the outside. So those people said things like, one uncle pehle he was selling the newspaper and all, and obviously that's the best place for an adda, right? Because in the morning Kolkata wants
Hmm.
to wake up, read its papers, magazines, periodicals. So he was selling those newspapers on the ground. So I asked him ki क्या लगता है आपको so I said आप कहाँ से हो? He said गोरखपुर से. I said अरे गोरखपुर बाबा. He's like हाँ बाबा ही सही है, बाबा सही है. And then suddenly he realized what he said and he said पर बंगाल के लिए दीदी सही है. So you know, you see how people
Reality.
send out these messages. So
Yeah.
सबसे off the bat when I said अरे गोरखपुर बाबा, he said बाबा ही सबसे सही है. वैसे यहाँ यहाँ के लिए दीदी सही है, यहाँ के लिए दीदी सही है. Now how
Yeah.
that person, आपका वोट किधर है? मेरा वोट इधर है. अब वो आदमी on that day क्या वोट करेगा? I leave that to your
Mhm.
imagination.
Yeah. And you said, oh, you know the situation. I don't want to talk. That's an exit poll right there.
Hmm.
That's an opinion poll or an exit poll or whatever technical terminology you want to use. That's a poll right there where a person is saying, yeah, you know the situation. I don't want to speak.
Hmm.
That's an
So yeah,
answer. A lot of people are taking that as a non-answer. I don't think so. That's a clear answer.
no, that's definitely an answer. That is
Yeah.
definitely an answer. I mean, it's a given, right? But I have only one caveat, and which is what I have been thinking about. That, sure. And also, you constantly second guess, right? That
Yeah, of
so
course.
many people are
Even I am.
speaking, so many people are suddenly vocal. What is going on? Like, this just seems too, it just seems, and also, there was
Too good to be true.
2021, right?
Yeah, too
Sorry?
good to be true. Too good to be true, right?
Yeah, it just
To
seems
say
too
that.
easy.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
just
yeah.
seems too easy. Like suddenly everybody is vocal. Suddenly everyone is saying things like, we want change, we want change. Suddenly everyone has a problem. Okay, then if this can't be just a matter of 5 years, right? How is it that 2021, the TMC increased its tally, remember, in the
Mm.
assembly? They increased their tally in 2024 also. Now, yes, you could argue that there was a lot of other factors involved. There was the fear, there was the manipulation,
COVID.
there
COVID.
could have been other things, COVID, sure. But 2024, the BJP's
Mm.
Lok Sabha tally went down. So,
Yeah.
you could argue those factors, but then again, I keep coming back to that point that all of this resentment, all of this anger, has it built up in just the last 2 years? 2024 also happened, right? Mamta Banerjee's TMC's tally went up in the Lok Sabha. So, is there something amiss in all of this? Is what I keep wondering. Like, the thing that I really wonder about in this entire euphoria, this social media deluge of, like BJP is coming, has the TMC's voter now gone silent? Are they voting? And in this, I see only two parts. One is women in the villages,
Hmm.
and the second is the Muslims, men and women across the board. My personal feeling is that all the anger and all the disillusionment aside, they will still vote as a block. Also, because
Maybe.
SIR, with all its deletions and everything, if it has done one thing, it has truly put the fear of God in people. And
Yeah.
I think there is a very real feeling that if we don't vote, then we will also, and it's not just having your name deleted from the voters list, it also means that you are gone from everywhere. You are gone from government schemes, you are gone from, and people believe that we'll, then the next step is we'll be deported from this country. So
Mm.
that fear, I think, is now really, it has seeped into the psyche of the Muslim voters, and they will vote. Because if you keep saying that this is, if the BJP is saying this is a battle for Bengal's existence, now remember, there is also a voter
The other
whose
side.
name has been struck off, who
Mm.
also is fighting for his or her existence. So,
Mm.
this so called existential battle is happening on both sides. Or, as the TMC says, the battle for the existence of Bengali identity. So, there is many identities clashing over here. Your
Yeah,
identity as
yeah.
a Hindu, your identity as a Bengali, your identity as a Muslim, all of these identity clashes are happening, and that will determine what somebody says and how they are voting. Now,
As a
are
matter,
we seeing one identity go very quiet? That is my question.
yeah. As a matter of fact, every time I've done an analysis about this, I've always pitched it as what if BJP wins and what if TMC wins? It has to be both ways because yeah, the exit polls are showing something or the other. And personally, I never pay too much heat on to that because that's data. You can kind of flip it the way you want to. I mean, any data scientist will tell you you can
No, no,
kind
no. So
of.
the data collection, if we are saying that you
Yeah, you
have
don't
a
know that.
state, you have a state where people are too scared to even speak, the data collection itself is questionable, right?
Yeah.
Who have
Yeah.
you spoken to? Are, leave alone, even if a person is speaking, are they deliberately misleading you? Because they don't want to, you don't know na, that who is this person who's come to survey me. Acha, now people are so savvy that they are also, you are observing them, but they are observing you.
Yep.
So I am going and speaking to Adi and I am saying, kya lag raha hai? Didi ne acha kaam kiya hai. Now you are thinking that this woman says she's a journalist. But what if she is also pally with the TMC? What if immediately she will go and tell her friends in the TMC that ये तो आदि बीजेपी को वोट दे रहा
Yeah,
है,
yeah, yeah. Of
कल
course, of course,
कल को तो खत्म ना. so
of course, of
so
course.
how a person is leading you on is also, is a possibility. तो
Yeah, yeah,
डेटा जो
yeah.
आ भी रहा है, उसको आप कैसे इंटरप्रेट करोगे जब वो डेटा कलेक्शन ही इज अंडर अ क्लाउड.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I personally believe so. And the battle is not over till it's over. Simple as
या.
that. I mean, tomorrow by probably this time at what we are sitting, I think we'll come to know exactly what's taking place and how it's going to pan out. But
Maybe not, because if it's 12:30, close to 12:30, and
yeah,
if this is how closely fought this contest is, chances are that right till the last round of counting, you are going to be, it's going to be that back and forth, what we'd seen in the Karnataka election a few years ago, where, every 3 hours you were like, Congress is leading? No,
yeah,
BJP is leading. Congress is leading, BJP is leading. So it could
yeah,
well
so
turn
fun.
out to be like that,
Yeah,
because last time around, there were about 50, 58, 60 seats, which were won or lost by a margin of 8,000 or less.
yeah,
So that is what, one-fifth of your seats where the margin is
mm,
8,000 or less.
yeah,
If this if this fight turns out to be close, then you know that margin could I mean the number of such seats could go up a lot,
yeah, yeah. So
and
to me,
you'll see it
the
protracted.
only realistic kind of calculation that I've come across till now is that Bengal is 70% Hindu. And if 70% of those 70% actually vote for the BJP, that comes down to about 190, 200 sort of a seats. That's the only realistic conversation that I've got where a Hindu consolidation kind of makes the cake.
Mm.
Uh, and this is for the BJP. You know, the key, if the BJP is winning, this could be one of the formulas. It's a very strategic way of looking at it. That if it's 70% Hindu, then not all Hindus will vote for the BJP. So let's say about 70% of that 70% have voted for the BJP. So that comes around to a certain number, which is equivalent to about that much seats. Could be not. I mean, it's something which is relative and open to interpretation after that. One interesting thing I've seen, and I've asked a lot of people about this, is that Mamta and her TMC have always been on the attack, always. And they've always been an aggressive. They've been a step ahead, and people have always been reactive. And that's what I noticed between during the Lok Sabha as well. She was always on the aggressive, and BJP reacted to that, and that's what we saw in the 2021 and this and that. This is the first time I'm actually seeing BJP taking a step and she being reactive. Do you agree with that analysis?
Yeah, 100%. Also, I think this was needed simply because here is a party that hadn't just lost in 2021. You also lost lives. Like
Yeah,
people were killed. So to instill that confidence, not just in the voter, but also in your worker, that you need to go back out there and fight. You need to, right at the outset, come into this battle on the front foot. Not say that, we are beaten, we are bloodied, and we are just sort of like dragging ourselves out on the battlefield. You need to make the first move. And I think that is what, for all apparent purposes, the strategy seems to have been. And you see how it played out, right? Where you had the forces being brought in. You had the home minister saying, I'm going to sit here for 15 days. That was also a message equally to the forces, the West Bengal police, the central forces, that don't slack off. Because in 2021 also central forces had been brought, but then there were a lot of reports that, the central forces sort of were either misdirected, or they ultimately,
Not organized
they've come
properly.
from outside the state, right? They don't know the lay of land. So if you are not directed to the really problematic areas, then how are you going to even function? So the home minister, who's basically their boss, is sitting there in Kolkata and he's saying, I'm sitting, so don't, like, nod off on the job. I'm going to be watching. So everyone was on high alert. That whole thing of in South 24 Parganas, where you had Ajay Pal Sharma going in, that video of him saying that, I see what is happening. Hum सीधा कर देंगे सबको. Because one, it tells your voter, and tells the voter in general, not just your voter, tells a voter that at least go out and vote whoever you want to vote for. Don't worry about facing the repercussions for that. And two, it is a message to your worker and cadre that listen, go out and fight, we have your back. And this I think, just going purely by the voter turnout, I think they have managed to do successfully to at least instill that sense of confidence. And the TMC reacting to that, projecting it as, oh, you've got central forces. This is not about securing the voter. This is about attacking the Bengalis, because ultimately the central forces are outsiders. What did happen though, and where you can't make it an identity issue, that this time the West Bengal police also seems to be just as aggressive. You've seen
Yeah.
those videos of the Bengal police telling the troublemakers, keep piche hato, बहुत हो गया अब, we're not taking this anymore. So अब you can't make the Bengal police versus the troublemakers into an identity thing. They are your people, right? So
Mhm.
yeah, this time I think
That's
there was a lot of aggression very visible right from the beginning.
that's something I noticed. The white police guys kind of beating the hell out of certain of these hooligans or whatever you want to call them on the street, and that was very surprising. Initially, that didn't happen, and that started pretty much. I would say that didn't happen even in the first phase. It started happening after the first phase of the elections.
Mm.
Uh, Between the first phase and the second phase, when the campaigning and all the tamasha took place, that's the time I started seeing the white police guys in action, and that was pretty surprising to me. And I noted this someplace, and I said that this is interesting. I haven't seen that happening before. Now,
Yeah, and also because, if you speak to anyone, a lot of people will tell you about how the nature of the police has become very, very politicized in West Bengal, and not from now, from very early on, that you are very politicized. So, which is why you are quiet, but at the end of the day, nobody wants to be, taken for granted by criminal elements. So I guess when you also feel that, okay, you don't have to be scared of a gunda just because he or she has political patronage. Ultimately, you are also wearing a uniform. You have some self-respect. No, you don't want to be
Yes.
chased by criminals. So I guess somewhere where you have that sense of confidence returning, you also hit back, and you basically do. And since you do this extensively, the first line of defense is always the local police. They know Jammu and Kashmir police is the first line of defense. They are the ones who fight the hardest. So same here. You have the first line of defense is the West Bengal police. Unko pata hai exactly kaun gunda kahan rehta hai. And now when they know that just for warning that gunda, they will not have to be penalized later, they are also vocal.
To me, there's another decisive factor, and this is something very seldom being spoken about, is the woman in Bengal. I haven't seen a lot of people writing about it. I don't watch that much television because I'm pretty much reading all the time, but I haven't seen a lot of people writing about the women.
Mm,
Um, to me, the changes, of course, I don't know how much the women's reservation thing resonated in West Bengal. It was probably too close, or was the BJP able to actually send the message across to the last woman voter around the place? I'm not sure of that.
mm,
I wonder if you could answer that. And the second point to me was the RG Kaur incident, and where the I would call her the Veer mother, Veer Ma, who came out, and to me that was heart wrenching. I mean, imagine that lady has to go to house per house and cry after that, cry after that, cry after that, cry after that, cry, because every house a lady comes out, hugs her, and cries.
mm,
And no matter what you do, you're a human being. I mean, I had tears in my eyes when I saw that. I'm so detached from that uh, entire scenario. Imagine that mother there. So to me, I think these are two factors that are not being spoken about. RG
mm.
Kar, the Veer Ma, and of course the women safety, and of course the women's reservation bill, that was a more of a political game between the BJP and the opposition. What do you think about all this stuff?
Women are, of course, going to be the decider, which is why I said at the beginning that the rural woman voter, which way she is going to go, still remains a, a factor I will look at very closely tomorrow. Where is the rural woman voter going? Somebody who has been the beneficiary, what I would call the Nitish Kumar effect. Why did Nitish Kumar, despite, if you look at the Bengal politics, everyone has their caste block. Now, Nitish Kumar per se, his caste doesn't have a very sizable presence, but yet he was indispensable to to Bihar politics. Why? Because he managed to get together, in addition to all your EBC, smaller caste groups and all, one very strong block of women. And he did it over time, over 20 years, when in 2005 he started his first bicycle yojana. Mamta Banerjee also started that 15 years ago. And those women who are there in the villages, now they are adults, they are voters. That young girl who, she sent to school 15 years ago, she will never forget. So, yes, she may have like 100 other problems in life right now. But let me just put it this way. Maybe what would decide eventually is whether she votes as a woman, a young girl of 15 years ago, who genuinely remembers what Mamta Banerjee and the TMC did for her, or whether she will vote as a Hindu and think that this is a existential question for me, and I have voted like that. So women are going to be very critical in the manner they vote. Urban women, I just heard in three places. I have to admit that in the second half of the election, I did not travel extensively in the presidency area, but I did do two areas, which is Havra and Kolkata, parts of Havra and Kolkata, and of course, Panihati itself, where Abhaya's mother is contesting. RG Kaur just comes up in conversation organically, just organically. And the first
And
time I realized
it's
how it
heartbreaking.
was coming up organically is when I was on a Vande Bharat. Now this Vande Bharat was going from Kolkata all the way up till Siliguri. So it had a cross section of people. It starts from Kolkata, so it has got young men and women, professionals, older Kolkata residents. It's traveling through Malda, so it has some people who are going to Malda. It is going all the way up till Siliguri, so you have some people from North Bengal. So it was like a little, slice of that stretch of
Bengal
Bengal.
voter. Hmm.
So you speak to everyone there, and there, just young women were and this could be like from a 21, 25, a lady who looked like she was just about 21, 25, to somebody who was in her 30s and had her husband and child with her, including one lady whose husband was like, nahi, nahi, let her only speak. She has a better idea of politics. So that is very Bengal for you. Couple traveling together with child, both working, traveling in a Vande Bharat. And I first went to the guy and he's like, nahi, I don't understand politics this much. Ask my wife. And this wife, she had only two things very clearly, which stayed with me. One, she said, I work in IT. And I really wish I had as many opportunities. I can't leave Kolkata and go because we have family here. So me and my husband have to stay in Kolkata. But after a point, we can't get the kind of jobs that somebody in a Bengaluru or a Hyderabad gets. Why can't we do that? Why don't we have the same opportunities? And the second, she said that women's safety is an issue for me. RG call shouldn't have happened. It was just wrong. And it isn't so much the rape itself, right? You can argue that it happens, crimes against women happen all across the country, and it's a fact.
Crimes happen. It's just the way it was. Just you know,
It was the I think it was the response to it which just left people a little shocked, that how can that midnight attack on protesters that happened, where people were just like, okay, these are just people who are protesting a crime. The fact that you had the superintendent, the head of that, the principal of RG Kaur, then just being planted in another medical college. It's almost as if you, far from penalizing him, you just rehabilitated him. All of these things, people, it just, I think, left a sense of political immunity and impunity being granted to a criminal. that left people a little shocked that how could this happen. Remember, this was also a thing, this was also a case where you couldn't simply brush it off as opposition propaganda. Jawahar Sarkar was an MP of the TMC and he resigned. And he said very clearly that what is happening, I can't. You had two other leaders of the TMC who spoke up and said that what is happening is not okay. I mean, eventually they came around is another issue. But so if people within the ruling party are saying the way this was done is not okay, then even people start thinking. Again, at the forefront of this entire protest was the left. So again, you cannot brush it off as this is BJP's propaganda. The left is really the voice of the so-called essential Kolkata, right? The so-called Bhadralok. They have always been the voice of that section. Now, if the left is also saying that what is happening is just terrible, you can't brush them off and say bakwas kar
I,
rahe hain. Because
I,
if
I, I watched her video and I just, whoa, it's. I mean, that hats off to the lady here, going one house after the other. Imagine her mental state, man. I mean, you're revisiting that thing every 5 seconds in your mind. You have to. I
another
mean,
another important thing was that some locals that I spoke to, they also said that there was a sort of wish, or people just thought that maybe just as a gesture, because of what she stood for, if others would have withdrawn their candidates, then it would have been sort of just honoring the memory of that girl for
no, that's
everything
not.
that she and her family went through. But then it became ugly. One of the ladies that I walked up to, elderly lady, and she was at this shop, and I asked her, Abhaya's mother had just passed from that area. So after she had finished, after she had left, then I walked up to the people that she had spoken to try and understand what do they really think. Is do they think it's just political? And the question I asked her was, Ki, do you think she's politicizing the death by contesting? Do you agree with this? And she just became teary eyed and she was just like,
Uh,
what happened wasn't right. What happened wasn't right. And that was so unexpected, this kind of a reaction, that I thought, okay, are you associated with the BJP? Why this was this like an overreaction? I mean, it's been a year since that crime
no,
happened. Why does it still elicit that kind of reaction? So, but it does.
it
It
does.
does.
I'm not joking because the amount of stuff I've seen, just regular content creators, girls who are making makeup videos and lifestyle videos, books videos, and this and that. So when I do my research on online, I always see what is the kind of content some content creator is putting
Mm,
before the content that I'm interested in, right? So if she's spoken about, and I've seen a lot of girls' videos there because, as I said, I find the women to be quite important in this election. So I saw a lot of these girls' videos, and I said, okay, let me see what they are doing before that. And most of them are just regular creators, dance
mm.
videos and this videos and that. They have nothing to do with politics. But every time you hear this one thing, and it just shocks you, like, okay, people haven't forgotten this. There's no repentance which has been shown by the structure, and I think that's going to cost them quite a bit.
Quite
That's
the
what I.
opposite, actually. This one phrase, remember what happened after Nirbhaya. Now, the thing is that Nirbhaya was in Delhi. So it
Yeah,
just got way, way, way more attention, way, way, way more amplification
yeah,
than Abhaya did. But it is almost like that. It is a parallel. Sheila Dikshit had to go because of Nirbhaya. And just
right.
the anger. Remember that time when just people from all over the country at India Gate, like sometimes I used to, and because I was also there at that time reporting, and I remember that people used to just come with their children. And very frequently I had to tell them, ki boss, yahan pe bahut bheed ho rahi hai. Don't get your children over here. This is not going to be safe for a little child. I mean, just because of the sheer volume of people. But they just came with their daughters, people just breaking
Yeah,
down. It's just something that struck a chord. They used to come there with a candle. Now, this happened in Kolkata. So there is, that distance. And of course, uh, maybe underplayed by few as well. But subsequently, that whole this thing of, and it wasn't just, this was just a series of things, right? There had already been Sandesh Khali before that. There had been Durgapur. There was the Park Street rape case. Some
that's the
people
point.
saying, oh, this was a deal gone wrong. And one after the other, one after the other, you say, oh, don't step out after 8 p.m. That was just a woman negotiating with her client. People see that. And, it just slowly, slowly, slowly builds up. And we don't hear a lot of this building
A
up
lot of
because
people,
obviously,
reacted to that woman negotiating. Everybody said, "Okay, fine. Even if she was, does that mean you do what you did to her?
yeah,
Even if she was, and I'm sorry to say this, even if there's a woman who's a prostitute or anything like that, she doesn't deserve to die.
yeah,
I mean, I'm sorry, that's not how it is. It doesn't
mhm,
work like that.
yeah.
So a lot of us, when we reacted to that nonsense, we said, okay, fine. We don't know the story. Even if she had some other intentions or other these things, does that mean you do what you did to her? No.
No, no, and you simply, no, you simply can't discredit a woman like that. And when
Yeah,
Suzette
it's
Jordan
not.
died,
It's not how it is.
you
It's a
know,
it's a life, yeah. I mean, her professional work, whatever it is, and the life are two different things. You just
mhm.
don't take someone's life.
No, no,
You have
and
no
which,
right
by
to
the
do
way,
that.
was again a claim. Let's not even in her death say that
Yeah,
what was said was true,
yeah.
because in her
So,
last moments,
just to
when
discredit her, you don't say shit like that. That's terrible.
yeah, and I thought the accepted trope was that accepted standard was that you believe the victim. But
Yeah,
if
you do.
you've got, an MP, or was she a minister at that time? I think it was Kakoli Ghosh Dastidar,
Yeah,
who
yeah,
said, "Oh,
Kakuli.
it was a deal gone wrong."
Yeah, she said
How
that.
can how can you say that?
So I
How can you
reacted to
say
that on
that?
my Twitter, and I said, even if it was, does that mean she deserved to die? Can you please answer that? And obviously, there will not be an answer.
Yeah.
Come on, man. I mean, let's be real here.
And this
Whatever
happens
her
in
personal
this
life is,
happens
you can't,
in
you can't,
Kolkata.
yeah, you can't
It
discredit
happens in
someone.
Kolkata. It happens in a moving car.
Yeah,
Then again, Sandesh Khali happens. You say all of that was
yeah,
political
just yeah,
propaganda.
yeah,
These are
bull-
BJP women.
bullshit.
Post poll violence happens. Remember the post poll violence, which, by the way, was on the 2nd of May 2021. It
Yeah,
started.
yeah,
Today is the
yeah.
3rd of May. Exactly 5 years ago, once the post poll violence started. And there
It's
were,
nonsense. It was inhuman, if I may say that. I personally, I get very cheesed off when somebody does that. Don't character assassinate someone, and someone especially who's dead. Don't
yeah.
do it. That's ridiculous. It's horrible. And even if she was the worst character possible, which I mean, I'm sorry to say that, but you have no right to say all that stuff.
And a lot of these I remember from 2021, because at that time, when there were women who had to go all the way to the Supreme Court because
Yeah,
their complaint was that even their FIR wasn't being registered. Look, and it's very convenient,
yeah,
right? You say, there is no FIR only. What are you talking about? Nothing has
yeah.
happened
It's,
because
it's,
there's no
it's,
FIR.
the way
There
it
is
was
no
handled
FIR
was
because no FIRs are being filed. So ultimately, on the instruction of the Supreme Court, and two cases I remember where, and one is widely discussed, of that 60-year-old lady who was gang raped in front of her grandson. And she wrote this in her complaint. She wrote this in her complaint uh, in the Supreme Court, where she described in detail what had happened to her. And they, I think, came looking. So the men fled, right?
yeah,
And so they came looking for the men. And so this lady told her daughter in law to hide. And this daughter in law, either the daughter in law's husband, as in this lady's son, was a BJP worker or a voter, but basically connected to BJP. So she told her daughter in law to hide, thinking that she would be the target. So when they didn't find the daughter in law, they raped a 60-year-old woman. They gang raped her. And her grandson, all this while, was hiding under the bed. And he was the eyewitness to this. And this was described in the Supreme Court of India. It was, I mean, one still gets goosebumps just thinking about it. There was this
yeah,
other
yeah,
woman
yeah.
who whose name was Purnima Mandal. She said when they came looking for my husband, he was not there, or they beat him up. But what they did next to her is that she gave a testimony saying they put their foot on my chest and they beat me up and they ripped my clothes off. And this woman was on camera. And all of this was just dismissed as it's propaganda. It's propaganda.
That's the whole
I
thing.
I just feel that. people, again, for various reasons, like we've known, may not speak about it. But there are certain things you don't forget because it's just the heinousness of the act. You don't do this. Like, this is not okay.
No,
Even
it's not. Not
it was that
absolutely.
image of, Mamta Banerjee when she was fighting and when she was attacked by the CPM at that time. I think it was just the image of this young lady who's fighting against this repressive regime. And as a woman, her being attacked, I think really connected to people. And which is why there was so much attachment that people had. That here is this frail lady, who's fighting the system and she's being physically attacked because
Mm.
that is something you don't forgive. But then you can't come from there to here. You also
Yeah.
don't forgive women being, raped and then being dismissed as liars just
And the worst
because
part
of.
is this is a party which is, I mean, structured by women. I'm sorry, you can not comment because there are a lot of your media and this and that. But I find this, it's ridiculous. I mean, the most front faces of this party are women who are X, Y, and Z. We all know who they are, and that's I don't know. I mean, it's grievous and it's just insulting to, I would say, common sense and being a
Exactly.
human being.
And across the board, you just don't. It is not okay. Everyone will find but what about angle.
Oh yeah,
Like
that's there.
in,
It's a country
in
of 1.4 billion people. There will be incidents. There's no question about it.
no, no, and they do happen. And every single time, like I said, the standard that we as a society have set for ourselves, in the case of Vijbhushan Sharan Singh, in the case of Kuldeep Sengar, in the case of Hathras, in the case of, you know, Muzaffarnagar riots, is believe the victim. And there were many things that were said in that case as well of, oh, there are other factors at play. But no, boss, you simply believe the victim. You do not discredit the victim. And you ultimately go by what is decided in court. So now, if
Yeah.
in Hathras case, the court has decided to exonerate the culprits, till the time you have another verdict from a higher court, you believe the court in this. But I have no right saying, Arey, but Kuldeep Sengar is also saying ki uska to ek alag angle tha. Yeah, sure, he is saying it, but let a court decide that. As a society, we continue to believe the victim. But when you dismiss one bunch of people simply because you do not think they are humans enough to earn your, you know, even respect for what they have gone through, I don't think people
Yeah,
buy
this
it.
quite. I think this resonated in this election quite a bit, and I could see that with a lot of this thing. A lot of women have come out and spoken about this. So I guess that's going to be one of the biggest deciding factors of a woman when before she pushes the button in her polling booth, wherever it may be. I'll ask you another small little question. When you look at the the way that this election has been done, I think Tamil Nadu and Assam and Kerala and Puducherry would be jealous. What the hell, man? We are also fighting election. Hello, someone talk about us. Hello, someone,
So there was
please.
a there was a running there was a running joke that perhaps people in Tamil Nadu, Kerala, and Assam would be watching the elections result of West Bengal. Like they would be sitting and watching what is happening in West Bengal. But of course, I'm sure they're very interested in there. This is just a joke.
No,
But
they
yeah,
are, but
it is. It is just in so many ways. It has just, I think, culminated for so many reasons, so many factors at play. Like what will happen in the national politics, what it means for internal security. So everyone has a different reason, right? Like you're looking at it from an internal security point of view. Somebody is looking at it from a national repercussion point of view. Somebody else is looking at it purely from this whole, you know, uh, angle of what the BJP says, that it is a fight for existence, it's a fight for identity. So yeah, everyone has some angle to this.
somebody in. I saw a post in Tamil Nadu. Yeah, you guys don't care for us or what? There's just a freaking election happening here. We are a bigger state.
That is
Can
not
someone?
true. That is not true at all. I mean, I think after that exit
He was
poll,
joking. He was
Pradeep
joking.
Ji's exit poll that gave 80 to 120 to Vijay. I think there's
Huh,
so much focus and so much interest. Now everyone's like, what? This is this other
but
tsunami happening here. Vijay is going to become single
you know,
largest party.
I think the people of Tamil Nadu should come out and protest. Yeah, ठहर जाओ यार, हम लोग बाद में करेंगे. तुम पहले ये खत्म कर लो. You finish this and then come to us. What is this nonsense? Very stupid nonsense. Nobody's talking about us. You're feeling jealous now. I think the
No, one
people,
of my
that's
friends called up like every week it'll be like, what do you think now? What do you think now? I was like, but I think the same thing that I thought earlier. I'm not to change something. And anyway, I'm sitting in Noida now. Ask people who are still in West Bengal. मुझे क्या पता कि अभी क्या हो रहा है? But
yeah,
so one of my friends called and she was like, it's almost as if the nation as a whole is holding its breath. I was like, a little
yeah, it
dramatic.
is.
I don't think
No,
it's.
it is. It is. Trust me, it is. It's stealing up conversations everywhere. Everywhere. I'm not joking with you. Uh, when I see, I do a lot of data scrolling. Okay, lot of it because see, I don't have resources like a channel or anybody else. I'm one person who's trying to analyze a lot of things. So when people ask me, I need to have some sort of an opinion. How do I form that opinion? Is by data. So I personally do checks and then I do AI driven data scrolling. I figure out what people are saying, and it's easy to do nowadays. There's a methodology to do, but once you learn it, you can do it. So I've got 3, 4 AI platforms where I kind of, put in whatever I want to and kind of see what it says after that. And this is on actual data on what people say and what is there on the internet. Trust you me, about 80% of the country is talking about this,
Mm, true.
right?
Like I said, and everyone has their own angle to it and their own
Yeah,
reason
yeah,
for why they are super interested. But
absolutely, absolutely. Padmaja,
and
I
also
must.
also also because Bengal has this history, right, of this major change that happens. Left was there, then they go out after unquestioned
Well,
dominance.
I think it's more
And
about security. Everybody's worried about the illegals inside the country. There's just no question about it. And trust you me, after Bangladesh went the way it is, right? Uh, so I do live shows and people are there in our live chats. Everybody's worried about that. It's not about Mamta Banerjee or TMC versus BJP anymore. This is about the fact that yeah, we need to block our borders and we need to ensure that all these illegals are out from here. Because at the end of it, yeah, somebody is legal, you stay here. There's no problem. आपने यहाँ पर आए हो, you take your citizenship and you're here legally. Stay here. There's no problems. But illegal citizens, we don't want here. So a lot of people are worried about that. That's the
so
biggest thing of mine.
it's funny you say that because I was speaking to Sajjan Kumar, who has also traveled and stayed in West Bengal. I mean, he's from JNU, so he has stayed last election, this election, traveled, spoken. So I was just trying to understand from him. So he said that a lot of changes will be seen in the Kolkata area. So 11 seats in Kolkata, the BJP hasn't won a single one so far. All 11 are with the Trinamool Congress. You've got 7 in North Kolkata, 4 in South Kolkata.
Foreign.
All of them have been barren so far. But he said this time there'll be major changes there. So I said, but why? What are the factors? Everyone has different reasons in rural India. One would think that in Kolkata, you would have what issues with jobs or RG. He said, no, people are reacting to the issue of demographic change,
Yep.
infiltration. I was like, Kolkata, really? I
Yeah.
don't believe
Yeah.
that because people are far more, and a lot of what you hear from people in Kolkata, they would be like, no, this is, hate mongering to have this kind of conversation. Every Muslim is being demonized as an infiltrator. So he said, no, this is just people. There are anxieties because people have seen their neighborhoods change. It's just that you don't want to say it. So he said a very interesting thing. He said when you speak to people in Kolkata, they will not use the M word, they will use the D word, which is demography.
Demographic.
So they'll
Yeah.
say,
Yeah.
oh, the demography is changing, the demography is changing, which basically is a
Yeah.
code
Yeah.
for
Yeah. Yeah.
my neighborhood
People are
has
worried.
changed,
Yeah.
what's
I'm
going
not
on.
kidding about it. Because everybody knows what they are and everybody talks about their city. Sir, in my city, this area is full of these people, sir. In my city, this area is full of. Everybody knows who they are. It's not nobody's a fool. I mean, you can't take it to law and stuff like that. But generally, you and I both know who they are, where they are staying, and stuff like that. We
And it
saw
would
what
be
happened
more
in.
visible to people who are inhabitants, right? Because if you've been in
Yeah,
Kolkata for so many years, you know the distinction way better than the rest of us. We are outsiders.
right.
We don't know
Those
how different
colonies.
regions of Bengal speak. But somebody in a Kolkata will know, Arey, this doesn't sound like a Bengali. This sounds like
No,
somebody
forget
else.
that. When the SIR happened and when those colonies after colonies of these people just ran away from there, who told
Gulshan
us about that?
Colony,
Yeah, who told us about that?
the locals, yes.
So they turn around and say, "Hey, सारे Bangladeshi थे, सब भाग गए यहाँ से." And those videos that went viral all around the place, that were local Bengali people who came out and said, "यार ये तो हमारे नहीं थे ये यहाँ पर. हमको पता है ये तो हमारा था ही नहीं यहाँ पर."
Hmm.
It's the local people from there who came out and put those videos out and said, "ये देखो ये पूरा कॉलोनी गायब हो गया इधर से. ये देखो पूरा कॉलोनी गायब हो गया." The housewives who started putting posts online from Gurgaon saying, "भाई मेरी maid गायब हो गई यार. When I went to where she stays, the entire colony is gone. What the hell? I don't have a maid anymore." These are real people who can turn around and said, "Whoa, what happened here?" So, the what happened in Bangladesh really woke up a lot of people, and a lot of people don't realize the impact Bangladesh has had on West Bengal.
I still find it, I hear you. And like I said, even Sajanji said the same thing. But I just find it so hard to believe. I just find it too hard to believe. I just wonder if there is an over amplification of this and it somehow, I don't know. Like I said, I still find it very hard to believe that somebody in Kolkata would say this or feel this way. I
Yeah.
mean, you've lived in that same area for so long. Why this sudden? Have you suddenly woken up to it?
Have people go around and see, yeah, bloody hell, this city looks nice, man. There are flyovers, there's metros, there's what the hell is this? Why is it not there in my city? That's there. Like I went to Indore some time ago, right? It's a nice, clean city. And Mysore used to be a beautiful, clean, absolutely fantastic. Past 2 3 years, trust me, it's just kachra lying all around the place. And I went there, I was like, yeah, whoa, this is used to be my Mysore.
Oh, sorry. I'm a
Yeah,
little
that's
new.
fine.
Like
That's fine. That's fine.
this
That's
is
fine.
only my second podcast. Hmm.
That's fine. So
Sorry, we're talking about
I
Mysore.
yeah, I so when I looked around Indore and I said, yeah, this used to be my Mysore. मेरा शहर ऐसे
No,
होता
no,
था,
no.
इतना सुंदर होता था.
Infrastructure, I get. Infrastructure, I get. Obviously,
Cleanliness,
infrastructure.
cleanliness, cleanliness. So there's a certain aspiration that comes into you when you start going to other cities and you say, यार ये हमको भी चाहिए अपने city में.
No, no. That also I get. I'm talking about this whole infiltration issue. अचानक से ये इतना क्यों amplify हो गया? अभी तक तो I didn't hear anyone
Bangladesh,
speaking about it. In fact, the
Bangladesh,
moment you spoke
Bangladesh,
about it, it was.
Bangladesh. When Hindus
But I
started
didn't
getting
see
killed in
any
Bangladesh,
people when it was happening in Bangladesh, anyone in Bengal speak up very stridently and say, this could happen to us tomorrow. I don't know.
you and I both know why people are not going to speak up. Yeah, but there it was there. That sentiment did exist. There's no question about it.
And I'm very surprised that now I hear more and more mainstream voices, speak about something that everyone, tiptoed around.
Yeah.
This, let's be very, very honest. The moment somebody hears this conversation, also, it's going to be what a bigoted outlook. This is not our country. This is not the way we think. But
No, no,
if
nothing. No.
somebody if somebody tells you off camera that I to think this state will change only in a few years from now, then obviously they are thinking it, but nobody has the guts to say it openly because you will pretty much be called a bigot
No,
and a
no,
hateful
no.
person.
Trust, trust to me, no.
And that
It's only
conflation of you are othering an entire community or a religion, which I
no,
think
no.
people who are
People are very
living
clear
there
about it.
are
People are
very
very
clear
clear
about.
about it. Very clear
Yeah.
about it. Let me say this very clearly. They are extremely clear. Nobody's anti-Muslim. They're saying, but we just don't want other countries' people to be here. People
Yeah.
got shocked when Operation Sindoor happened and so many Pakistanis just creeped out of the bloody closet. Everybody said, get these bloody people out of here, man. I mean, nobody's
So
anti-Muslims and stuff like that. Yeah, aap raho. You're as much as a citizen as I am in this country. Please stay. There's no problem. Stay, prosper, do what you want to. But I don't want anybody else's people here. I don't. I've got enough of my own problems. I don't want a Bangladeshi problem here. I don't want a Pakistani problem here.
Mhm.
No.
So another funny story and how this means very different things for different people. So you would know in Jammu, right next to the river, you've got now something called a Rohingya colony that has come up,
Yep.
right?
Yep. Yep.
So once, and this was long ago, I think in about like 4 5 years ago when I had last gone to Jammu. So our so when a taxi driver होता है ना वो when you're passing है देखिए मैडम ये रोहिंग्या कॉलोनी यहाँ बन गई है
Ah,
कि जम्मू के
ah,
अंदर रोहिंग्या क्या कर रहे हैं ये यहाँ क्यों आ
yes.
गए हैं and
Yes.
so he said that while people in the cities may think of it as a change of demography this that fear ye wo whatever how what it means to the locals there so he said यहाँ सबसे ज्यादा resistance जो है इस कॉलोनी को आ रहा है from the poorest of people who
Mm,
are living in Jammu. How? अब क्या है कि सपोज आई एम अ ठेकेदार एंड दिन में मैं अपनी 40 रेड़ी पटरी करवाती हूँ या मैं अपने 10 रिक्शे चलवाती हूँ नाउ आई से दैट अच्छा आदि आई एम गिविंग यू माई रिक्शा आप दिन में 500 रुपए कमाओगे उसमें से आप मेरे को 200 रुपए दोगे ठीक है अनादि लाइक चलो ठीक है अब मेरा काम चल रहा है अचानक somebody from this Rohingya colony comes and says कि आप मुझे रिक्शा दो मैं पूरे दिन चलाऊंगा एट द एंड ऑफ द डे मैं आपको 400 रुपए दे दूंगा सिर्फ 100 रुपए अपने पास रखूंगा
yeah.
cheap labor they
Yeah.
have driven the locals out of the
Yeah.
economy so the
Mm-hmm.
locals are like and the poorest they are saying बॉस
Mm-hmm.
आप ऐसा चीप लेबर दे रहे हो कि अब हम रिडंडेंट हो गए हमारी नौकरी ले रहे हो आप
Mm-hmm.
सेम थिंग
Mm-hmm.
दैट हैपेंड इन असम where you were
Same thing
taking
is
over
happening
their
in
jobs,
Bengal.
you were
In
taking over
Bengal.
their land,
Yeah.
and then people were like, "We are, we are, we are like this in our own country. Our country is being
Yes.
taken over by somebody else."
Yes.
And then
Yes.
you are like,
People are worried about it. People are extremely
no,
worried
boss.
about it. Yeah. 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 And if you think Bengal people are not worried about it, well, no. Because at the end of it, they also know सारा हमको गाली पड़ता है इनके चक्कर में. See, that's also there, na?
Hmm.
People
कोई
in
criminal
Bengal
element वहां पे है. Everyone gets bunched together.
who's a nationalist who says, "Yeah, I'm an Indian, yeah, but Salam, I get
Hmm.
abused by everybody in the country because of these punks. What have I done?"
Hmm.
So that people are very see at the end of it, social media has brought about that change in people's mentality that हाँ यार ये reality ये है. You may like BJP or not, but everybody knows the reality. Yeah, the propagandists will not accept the reality and spin it the other way around. But at the end of it, everybody knows what's really happening here.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't need to be told by somebody sitting in Delhi what I can see around me, right? At the end of the day, people are smarter. So
Exactly.
you
Exactly.
can't mansplain Assam and Bengal to people who are
Nope.
there.
Nope. Yeah.
They might not say it loudly or they might use the D word as Sajjan Kumar said. But दिख
They
तो
do.
रहा ही है ना.
Absolutely. I must say this is a very good conversation, Padmaja ji. Thank you for your time, and it's a insightful conversation. I'm sure our viewers are going to have fun watching it. So once again, thank you for your analysis and your insights about what's happening in Bengal and this
Anyway, Adi,
conversation.
thank you so
And
much. This was
my
fun
pleasure.
and we must meet in Mysore soon.
Absolutely. And to all the audience, please like, subscribe, and share this with your friends and families, and let us know what you guys think. It's just let's say about 24 hours till D-Day of one of the I think biggest elections after Lok Sabha 2024. Um, a lot of people say
And
UP
tune
is going
into
to be big.
NDTV tomorrow, 6 a.m. onwards. Watch the results with us.
Check it out. Yeah, and she's going to be there, so she'll be also be able to tell you what's happening. And please let us know what you guys think. And of course, check out the description, join our groups, support this channel. Namaskar.
See you.